once again, this is our lot number 3, batch number 3 of the consecutive rows on the M10 Sniper Pro. The batch we're going to roast now is the lot 29. Again, this is also a coffee bean from Indonesia. It is from the company called Koperasi Petani Kopi Kampong. The farm is Mamasa, West Sulawesi. The origin is Mamasa, Sipai, Indonesia. Crop year is 2021, which is very fresh. Processing method is again a semi-wash wet hull. The soil condition is not stated here. The plantation scale is only 4 hectares, which is pretty small in size. The elevation is 1,650 to 1,700 above sea level. So this is slightly higher than the one that we roasted, the lot 28. I believe it's the lot 28. Is it the 28? I can't remember. It's the lot 20. Let me check. Sorry, it's the lot 27 from Indonesia. The elevation is only about 1,002 to 1,004. So this is going to be slightly higher. So again, we're going to plan to charge at 185 degrees Celsius. And the roasting style will be very similar to our first batch, which is actually the coffee from Myanmar, which is having the similar kind of elevation. Let's get to it. Right, first let me show you the coffee beans. This is actually the coffee bean from Indonesia, Sulawesi. I would say that the size of the bean is pretty small, and judging from the quality of the bean, right, it is not great. Some beans are actually very small and some beans are larger, which means that yeah, this is probably a slightly even though the carving score is 84.5, right, but the bean, judging from the appearance of the bean, right, it's not great. Yeah, as compared to the Myanmar beans. Myanmar beans are much larger and rounder, and the shapes are more uniform. Whereas this batch of beans, the shape of the beans are not as nice, and the size distribution is actually quite a widespread. It has a lot of smaller beans, and yeah, and you can see how small this bean is. Yeah, this is not suitable. I believe it's not supposed to be inside anyway. Right, so not great, but let's try. So again, we're going to roast about 300 grams. Right, again, this is lot 29 from Indonesia, Sulawesi. We are going to increase the charge temperature to be slightly higher. Right, let's wait for the temperature to climb up. It should be pretty fast. Okay, so the temperature seems to be steady at 185 already. So again, the procedure for the sampling roast is pretty similar. Again, we're going to let it soak for about 1 minute, and then again, I'm going to on about 30% heat. So let's reset the curve, shut off the heat, and start the timer, and let's drop the beans. 45 seconds. Right, the turning point has already reached. Okay, let's start the heat, 30%. So obviously at this stage the beans will be very green. So the M10 Pro is definitely capable of back-to-back. Even the smaller cousin, the M2 Pro, is capable of back-to-back roasting. Hence, it's a very efficient if you are doing micro roasting or sampling roasting. And if you don't really roast very high volume, well, you can consider the M2. The M2 Sniper Pro has the maximum roasting capacity of 400 grams. Normally we don't push the roaster to roast all the way up to 400 grams. We may roast at a maximum of about 350 grams. The M10 Sniper Pro can roast up to about 1.2 to 1.3 kg without any issue. But most of the time we'll just roast about a kg or slightly more than a kg. One of the main reasons is when you charge the beans, when the bean gets roasted, right, you lose its water, right, you lose its moisture, but even though the mass reduces, but the volume will increase. So even though when you first fill up, when you see that the beans are green, it doesn't occupy a lot of volume. But once you roast it, it will become larger, and then it will cause the cooling tray to be filled almost to the brim, and sometimes it may even overflow. So usually we will keep the mass of the roast to be about less than 1.2 kg. We are expecting about 20% loss due to moisture. So if you want to roast 1 kg, we can safely say that 1.2 kg of green beans is the way to go. That's according to my personal experience, right? Okay, so now it has passed 3 minutes. Let's look at the roast condition. Well, I can see the bean has turned slightly yellowish. There are still some green beans here and there, but most of the beans has turned yellow. We are heating at about 147 degrees Celsius in about close to 4 minutes. Right, which is actually on plan, because usually we plan to reach about 150 degrees Celsius in about 4 minutes time. Okay, we just hit 150 degrees Celsius and we are exactly at 4 minutes now. So at about 155 degrees Celsius, most of the green beans should have already turned yellow. We call that the end of drying phase. And after this drying phase, we will start to develop flavor into the coffee bean. You can see the beans has already turned light brown in color. Okay, we are reaching about 5 minutes and we are reaching about 165 degrees Celsius. 163, sorry. The rate of rise is pretty good. It's about 6, which means it's about 12 degrees per minute. Let's check the condition again. You can see definitely can see a color change here. Five minutes 40 seconds. We have already passed 170 degrees Celsius. I'm expecting first crack to be around 180 degrees Celsius. For this batch, we will vent out the exhaust air. First crack happened. Let's not count it because it's only one of the cracking sound. Let's wait for consecutive cracking. Okay, so the crack has started. It is about 6 minutes 30 seconds, which means to say that we'll drop the beans at about 7 minutes 30 seconds. Right now the temperature is 182 degrees Celsius. We're going to drop the beans at about 195 to 200 degrees Celsius. Let's look at the condition of the roast. Definitely the color has gone darker. This is still considered as light. Let me vent out the air now. Sounds good. Okay, I'm going to drop the beans. 8 minutes. it has cooled down, and by visual inspection I can see that this batch of beans, out of all the 3 batches that we have roasted so far, first batch is from Myanmar, second batch is from Indonesia, this is from Sulawesi. We have quite a lot of crackers here, which is actually the bean that is not roasted properly. Before we roast the beans, the green beans is actually not regular in sizes. Some are big, some are small, so I'm expecting quite a lot of crackers in this batch of roast, and in fact this is true. I have to take out some of these beans, right, which will affect the flavor when you extract espresso. So for this batch of beans, I have to go through the manual selection. I have to choose, I have to pick up all the crackers, which is actually the lousy beans from this batch. So this is going to take down some time. Right, let me show you. The roast is still pretty even, as you can see. But you can see, this is one example of the bad beans. You can see the beans is a very weird shape, almost empty in the inside. This is bad. Yes, you can see this. It's very light color, but it's not really roasted. Oh my god, look at this. What is this? I don't know what kind of beans this is. It's really quite poor quality. Some of the beans are not, you see, much lighter in color. So these are all the 41. Alright, so I will not bore you with the selections of all the crackers here. And you can see that from visual inspection of the green beans, you can tell roughly this batch of green beans are actually of good or not so good quality. So apparently this is a not so quality one, right, even though the carving score is actually quite high. So we will have to wait until we taste the coffee, then I can tell you whether this batch of coffee is actually good. Okay, so this is our batch number 3. I'm going to do 2 more batches of coffee beans. The next batch I'm going to do is, let me see. Right, let's try to do a lot 7. Right, from visual inspection, the bean quality is good. Right, so I'll let you know what is lot 7. What is the where is this origin? Where is the origin of the beans? In the next video. So stay tuned. Right, so this is CY once again. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, remember to subscribe, like my videos, and thank you for watching, and I'll see you very soon.